My name is Carolyn Blyton, and when I lived in Kingsley, I was born here in 1946 and moved away when I started college, and I was Carolyn Thompson. I am the granddaughter of Archibald Thompson, who was one of the first farmers to come into Kingsley. And one of the interesting stories I have is in 1910, he purchased a Veely car. And the Veely was made in Moline, Illinois, and his oldest son, Stephen Thompson, talked him into buying a car. My grandfather could not figure out why he needed a car. He thought he was just fine with a buckboard and horses. So the car came in on a railroad car from Moline, Illinois in 1910, and most of the town was down to the train station to view this. And we will be having this car in the parade for this 125th celebration. My father restored it in the 1960s. He was a mechanic in town and had Thompson's Garage. It was located across the street from the movie theater. And I remember very vividly, he was open every Saturday night. We never could go anywhere because the whole town was open. And we went up to the band concerts, and then I came back to my dad's garage, and it was full of farmers sitting around gabbing. And he gave me a dime, and I ran across the street to Joe Akers and got an ice cream. And then we spent the evening walking up and down the streets as a kid. This is a 1910 Veely, and it was the second car to come into Kingsley.
Do you know what the first one was?
I do not.
Okay. My grandpa used to tell me that they'd drive to Lamar's and they'd have to change the tires. They'd have so many flats, they'd change the tire like a dozen times going from Kingsley to Lamar's. Do you remember?
My uncle, Stephen Thompson, went to Westmar College, and his roommate was from Lamar's, and he went home with him one weekend and discovered he had a car. So he came home and thought that the Thompsons should have a car. And then my dad restored it, and my dad was the fire chief in town, and he had a Chevrolet and garage and was a mechanic.
Can you hold that picture up?
He also,
okay.
What the heck is this? This is a wrecker where he would go out and pull you in if you had car trouble. And then he was on the fire department for 48 years, and he was fire chief for 13. And in 1964, the town was going to take the old 1929 Peter Persh fire truck and retire it to the park and let the kids play on it. And Mobile had made a decision to do this, and my dad couldn't stand the idea of kids crawling on this and ruining it. So he bought it from the town and restored it. And this is a picture of him in 1963. And that will also be in the parade today, or tomorrow.
Okay.
And my dad was in World War II, and he was in the Navy, and he actually went at age 35. And he volunteered to go, and of course everybody else was about 18 or 19 years old. But he wanted to do that, and he actually had to sell his business to do that. And he and my mother moved to California, and then she stayed in Long Beach while he was on the ship. And then when he got out, he came back and started his business up again. This is my parents when they were, when my dad was in World War II, and this picture was taken, I think, in Long Beach, California.
He was across the street from Ben Westling.
Yes, he was.
Did they work together, or did Ben do his stuff independent of them, or?
I think Ben had his own mechanics, and Ben was a Ford dealer, and my dad sold Chevrolets.
So he also sold cars?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah. He just didn't, occasionally, he did remodel his building, which is still there today, excuse me, to a company showing one car at a time.
So he had one car in there. And,
that would be brand new.
Right, okay. And Ben didn't have that many new cars either. I remember
he didn't.
He typically had maybe one car in the showcase.
Right.
Which one sold cars? Which one was the first dealership, do you know? I mean, was Ben in?
I would say Ben Westling, because
Okay.
he probably was still doing it during the war.
Okay.
But they were very good friends, and they went back and forth and discussed what was selling better, whether it was a sedan or then station wagons came in. And I wondered what my dad did, because anytime I was in there, it was full, it seemed to be a hangout for a lot of the old farmers, and the older guys just came in there and sat and talked, and then my dad was always telling one story after another, so I wasn't sure whether he was a mechanic or a storyteller.
So was it primarily autos, or did he service autos, trucks, tractors? What?
He did not do tractors. He did autos, pickups, and a lot of people, most everyone in town brought their lawnmowers to him. And after he retired, he still fixed everyone's lawnmower in town, and everyone claimed that their lawnmowers never ran good after he died. So this is my dad's high school picture. He graduated from Kingsley High School in 1927, and this is the year I graduated, and this is my parents. And it was kind of interesting because my parents were 40 years old when I was born, so it was a big deal in town that my parents finally had a baby. And now 40 is the new young parent.